If you've ever followed a baking recipe closely, you've probably noticed that some call for baking soda, while others insist on baking powder. Sometimes, a recipe even demands both. At first glance, they look almost identical. White powder stored in little containers in your pantry. But here's the thing, they're not the same at all. In fact, mixing them up could mean the difference between fluffy, golden brown pancakes and a dense, flat disaster. So today we'll break down what they are, how they work, why they're different, and even some quirky uses for them outside the kitchen. So let's dive into the fascinating world of baking soda versus baking powder. By the end, you'll know exactly which one to grab the next time you're whisking up a batch of muffins or cookies. Let's get into it right here on History of Simple Things. Let's start with baking soda. Chemically, it's known as sodium bicarbonate, a simple alkaline compound that reacts when it meets acid. On its own, baking soda doesn't do much, but the magic begins the moment it encounters something acidic, like lemon juice, vinegar, buttermilk, or even cocoa powder. When that reaction happens, carbon dioxide gas is released, and those little gas bubbles get trapped inside your batter or dough, causing it to puff up, rise, and become airy. This is why baking soda is called a leavening agent. It literally helps your baked goods lift. But there's a catch. Baking soda reacts almost instantly. The moment it touches an acid, the bubbles start forming. That's why recipes that use only baking soda often tell you to bake immediately. If you wait too long, those bubbles escape, and your muffins or cakes could turn out flat instead of fluffy. Now, baking powder is a little more complex. Think of it as baking soda's more self-sufficient cousin. Baking powder already contains both an acid and a base, all in one neat package. Typically, it's a mix of baking soda, cream of tartar, which provides the acid, and sometimes cornstarch to keep it dry and prevent clumping. The real genius of baking powder is that it doesn't need you to add extra acidic ingredients to the recipe. It's already ready to go. Just add it to your batter, and the chemical reaction can happen. But here's where it gets interesting. Most baking powders sold today are double-acting. That means they work in two stages. The first reaction happens when the powder gets wet, say when you mix it into your cake batter. The second reaction kicks in only when it's heated in the oven. This two-step process gives your baked goods an extra lift and helps them rise evenly, even if you don't rush to bake the mixture right away. Here's a question that a lot of home bakers wonder. Can you swap baking soda and baking powder? The short answer, not directly. If you accidentally use baking soda instead of baking powder, your recipe might not rise at all, unless the batter happens to contain an acid. Even then, the flavor could turn a bit metallic or soapy because baking soda is much stronger and more concentrated than baking powder. On the flip side, if you try using baking powder instead of baking soda, your baked goods might rise, but the flavor and texture could be off. Since baking powder already has acid, it might make your recipe taste a little tangy. And because it's weaker than baking soda, you might not get enough lift. So the golden rule is, use what the recipe calls for. And if you're in a pinch, you can sometimes make a substitution, but you'll need to adjust the measurements and balance the acid levels carefully. Here's another baking mystery. Why would a recipe include both baking soda and baking powder? If one is enough to make things rise, why add the other? The answer lies in flavor and balance. Some recipes contain acidic ingredients, but not enough to fully react with the baking soda. So, a little baking soda is added to neutralize some of that acidity and contribute to browning, while baking powder takes care of the extra leavening. A good example is chocolate cake. Cocoa powder is slightly acidic, but not acidic enough on its own. So recipes often call for both baking soda and baking powder to get the right lift, flavor, and texture. Now here's where things get fun. Both baking soda and baking powder have lives outside the oven. Baking soda's many uses. Baking soda is famous as a natural cleaner. People use it to scrub sinks, deodorize fridges, and even freshen up carpets. It's mildly abrasive, which makes it great for cleaning without scratching surfaces. It also helps neutralize odors, whether it's your trash can, gym shoes, or even your breath when used as a toothpaste substitute. Baking powder's role. Baking powder, on the other hand, doesn't have nearly as many side uses. It's mostly a baking ingredient, though some people have experimented with it in cleaning. But if you're looking to deodorize your fridge, stick with baking soda. It's the multitasker. Let's talk about a few common mistakes people make when using these ingredients. Using too much baking soda. This can leave a metallic, bitter taste. A little goes a long way. Not baking right away with baking soda. Remember, its reaction starts instantly. Wait too long and the bubbles escape. Forgetting that baking powder expires. Yes, baking powder loses its strength over time. If yours has been sitting in the pantry for years, test it by mixing a little with hot water. If it doesn't fizz, it's time to replace it. Swapping them without adjusting. They're not one-to-one substitutes. If you must substitute, research the correct ratios to avoid a baking flop. So, what's the takeaway? Baking soda and baking powder may look the same, but they play different roles in your kitchen. Baking soda needs an acid to activate and works fast, while baking powder has its own acid built in and usually acts in 2 stages for a more reliable rise. The next time you're whipping up banana bread or pancakes, you'll know exactly why your recipe calls for one over the other. It's not just random, it's chemistry at work, turning simple ingredients into something fluffy, delicious, and irresistible. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.